Welcome back to Destination Pro Wrestling. In this video, we got some AEW, Impact, and WWE news. Guys, we now know AEW is planning to bring back RedDragon. Sounds like something here is in the works. Kyle O'Reilly might be on his way out of WWE. Also, the Iconics are going to Impact Wrestling. It was officially announced. We're going to talk about all of the released WWE Superstars that are expected to debut at Bound for Glory. This list is tremendous. We're also going to talk about Cain Velasquez. If you guys don't remember him, he was released by the WWE after a 2-minute squash match against Brock Lesnar, but he's coming back to pro wrestling, and I have some very interesting thoughts. So, as always, if you guys want more videos like this, click that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. Let's talk about Cain Velasquez. His experiment in WWE was a total failure, and to be honest with you, I point all the fingers here at WWE. WWE signed Cain Velasquez at a time where WWE was trying to sign almost every potential free agent, and Cain Velasquez came to AAA Wrestling under a mask and was doing some incredible stuff in the ring. He was tag teaming with Cody Rhodes, he was wearing a mask, he was doing hurricanranas, he was definitely showing respect to the heritage and the history of Mexican's pro wrestling company AAA. Now, with that being said, this is where things got really chaotic. WWE signed him, they put him in a 2-minute squash match, he got squashed, and then he got released. Things didn't really make sense for WWE signing him, and the worst part about it is WWE does what they always do. They tried to take away from some of that identity that he had in Mexico. He was wrestling under a mask, came to WWE. WWE was trying to use his UFC notoriety, and that was just a complete failure because as good as Cain Velasquez was in the UFC, he wasn't special, if that makes sense. And I really liked his work in the UFC, but at the end of the day, he was nowhere near a Conor McGregor type of person. And that's the issue that WWE had here. That was the first mistake that they made. But they released him. It was a failure. The experiment absolutely sucked. And then we haven't seen him since. Well, the good news, upcoming December, I think it's the 4th, he will be competing for AAA. And this will mark his return to pro wrestling. And of course, when this came out, people on Twitter, Discord, and whatnot, people were saying, hey, like, this might be a good opportunity for AEW to sign Cain Velasquez. And obviously this starts to start the conversation, right? There's a conversation that's going on between whether or not AEW should keep signing people. Now, based on his very short tenure in WWE, I don't consider him a WWE talent whatsoever. But AEW was actually in the running for Cain Velasquez originally. And that's why I want to talk about this. Because if AEW wasn't initially interested in Cain Velasquez, then I would say maybe it's not a possibility. But because AEW had so much, they just had so much, like, they really just wanted to bring him in, clearly. And they got outbid. WWE signed him. And then the sad thing is WWE released him. So with him going back to AAA, I think the best move going forward is for him to hone his craft, get better in the ring, start creating identity for yourself, get back to making people excited about watching you wrestle, because at some point there was a ton of hype and excitement in regards to Cain Velasquez. That was all thrown out the window when he went to WWE, and WWE absolutely managed to butcher that entire thing, and it was just a failure. Now, with that being said, if he goes to AAA, has a couple matches, maybe has a solid year or two, I think AEW should very well go back into the running for Cain Velasquez, because let's face it, AEW is doing something really special between MMA talent and American Top Team and their roster. So you got the talks of Dan Lambert and you got Junior Dos Santos making his debut soon. Then you also have Jorge Masvidal. I mean, look, this guy can wrestle. He's clearly shown that. If he can stay healthy, I think it's a great pickup for them. Let's talk a little bit about Bound for Glory. If you guys didn't know, Impact Wrestling had announced that the Iconics are going to debut at Bound for Glory. But that's not it. There's more. So here's the thing. Impact Wrestling is reportedly ready to bring in the Iconics, Buddy Murphy, and talks of Braun Strowman going to Impact have also increased very heavily. So this is fantastic news. I think Impact Wrestling has been a great company to watch every Thursday. You know, obviously, I've mentioned this several times on the channel. Their production elements are far below average, but their storylines and their consistency is really good. So the rumors of AEW bringing in a ton of released WWE talent is great news. The real question is, will Impact Wrestling learn from previous years and previous management, where WWE Superstars took precedence over absolutely everybody else? That was a huge mistake. I actually wrote about this on my Twitter. I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to read something. It's basically why AEW is here for many years to come, and it's because AEW learned from TNA and WCW. But if Impact Wrestling brings these people in and they do great things, honestly, I'm excited about it. I think Buddy Murphy going after the X Division Championship is a great idea immediately. I think Braun Strowman getting a year or two in Impact Wrestling as the guy makes a lot of sense. But also, I think Impact Wrestling needs to make sure that they're playing it safe and also not burying their talent while bringing in these names. The Iconics had so much potential in WWE. WWE dropped the ball. AEW didn't sign them, but they're going to Impact Wrestling, which makes me beg the question whether or not we will also see them in AEW as part of the open door policy. So far, the open door policy has allowed Impact Wrestling stars to compete against AEW stars on the Impact Wrestling show. Aside from the Good Brothers, we haven't seen anybody cross over into AEW, and that's actually been kind of frustrating, and it almost makes me feel like Impact Wrestling is not getting anything good out of this deal. But nonetheless, there is an opportunity here to see some of those former WWE talent join Impact, but also compete in AEW. All right, guys, in our final story of the day, we're going to talk about RedDragon. I hope you guys remember RedDragon. You may have actually forgot about this because for the last 3-4 years, they were dominating WWE NXT as the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole's in AEW. Reports came out that the Young Bucks were very, very, very serious about bringing in Bobby Fish to AEW, so they made the announcement they signed Bobby Fish. But now with rumors that Kyle O'Reilly's contract ends very soon in WWE, there is a very big chance that Kyle O'Reilly could also be jumping ship to AEW. Now, for those who are entirely against the idea of AEW bringing in former WWE talent, I really want you to think of the possible great matchups there are if you put Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly together. And that's essentially what we're waiting for. And it sounds like AEW is just waiting. It sounds like it's a very big possibility, but obviously they can't be doing contract tampering or whatever it may be. But think about it. We talk about this a lot on this channel. A lot of guys in WWE are watching AEW. And not only that, they are friends with a lot of the people in AEW. So you know damn well behind closed doors, they're having conversations. They're talking about their experiences. And ultimately, that excites me because I think that's where AEW is going to have a huge advantage over WWE. And quite honestly, nothing would be better than to see Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly dominate the tag team. Oh my God, that division is absolutely stacked. That is something I want to see personally. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think AEW should bring back RedDragon? I like Bobby Fish. I just don't think it makes sense to have him as a singles guy in AEW. His career is already off to a rough start. He's 0-1. And I think Kyle O'Reilly jumping ship makes a lot of sense. And honestly, don't be shocked if WWE does everything in their power to keep Kyle O'Reilly because let's just face it, look what's happened. WWE is losing a lot of these guys to AEW, and the thing is, AEW is building excitement around them. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. My name is Zango. This is Destination Pro Wrestling, and I'll see you guys tomorrow right here on DPW.